great when it works. Now it does, so we'll get right away started. So I'm founder of Xupo, and this is actually the second IoT talk I'm doing. The last one I did in Glasgow, where we are from, and this was about like the evolution of the internet into IoT. Simon, however, asked me if I would more rather like to actually share our companies and the number of companies we have like sort of worked with and our personal journey building an IoT product from scratch, so to say. Because we have developed hardware, we've developed the firmware, mobile apps, iOS, Android, cloud services, and that's what mostly we are doing for the last year now. It's all about cloud and data. We launched a new brand last year, and I'm going to tell our story around that as well. And as much as Simon mentioned, crowdfunding, for instance, Kickstarter, and I find incredibly more and more companies these days, after reading something called the Lean Startup. Not sure if any of you here heard of that yet. That's an incredible sort of a new way of looking at building new projects, products, and passing it through certain gates where you just cut out waste. And the more we started with these bigger organizations, and they have gone through that process, and they're like, okay, so how do you do this in a lean startup way? And we almost have become like the more lean node in our IoT system, and I'm going to share some of our stories how. So this is a brief background basically about Connect-In. We're a wireless connectivity solutions company. Our mission is to develop Xupo, which is our IoT device now, as the solution of choice in this growing market of trackables. So we are an asset tracking area. And while being profitable, eco-friendly, and sustainable. And a bit about me, how many here probably you grew up with the Nokia 3220 or one of those great phones, which was easy to use and not complicated. And I didn't grow up with a smartphone, but incredibly what I have done last 10 years sort of, been in the wireless industry, in the mobile industry, and 5 years with our company Connect-In, is all to do with smartphone, mobile, and IoT. The internet did play a role, a huge role in fact, although back in those days, in my school days, sort of, it was the VSNL. You had to actually dial a phone line to get onto the internet, and it's it's amazing, like just looking at Moore's law. I think every company, it doesn't matter where or which vertical you're, medical, it's some way or the other going to be impacted, even disrupted by IoT. And my personal passion is like sort of both in tech, new tech, and innovation. And funnily, cryptos and IoT more of a professional standpoint, crypto mainly because of being involved as a sort of experimental investor, and it's just crazy what's been happening with the Bitcoin world and the new stuff that's coming up. So these topics interest me a lot personally, so it's a privilege to be here with you guys today. So my current area of interest is mostly mobile and IoT, and I'll tell you about the solution we have brought to the market and how we went about it. So anyone here, Simon was mentioning, have actually lost your keys, as in like car keys, physical keys, not or any item of value, right? The statistics are like quite mind-blowing. Like 900 laptops, amongst other mobile devices, portables, gets lost at London Heathrow Airport alone every week. With the advent of your smartphone, really, there is an app for everything. And we kind of went about looking when we went on Kickstarter to see, is there a demand for an app to find your things, to locate your things. So that's why we came up with Xupo, which is basically a device that you can attach to any item of value and locate it with your smartphone with an app. That's what. So you can literally find your keys from your phone from your keys, and the next stage I'm going to share the actual product development journey. The thing about IoT is, especially like the smaller the device, the more complex actually is the system, design to manufacturing and so on. And then the next part is always about finding the right sort of distribution contract for a product to scale. And we are really privileged to work with some really good customers, and mostly with Ingram Micro. We signed them up as our distributor, and they are one of UK's, in fact, world's one of world's sort of focus disties doing a lot of IoT because they're a Cisco partner. And we are learning things sort of as we grow our community and the product ecosystem, going into areas we never even expected. So that would be just one slide after this. So in terms of our actual journey in the product design, why an IoT product is quite interesting is because there is, anytime you're bringing a new sort of IoT solution to market, there is usually 5 into 5, sort of almost 25 different decision points of a new product system to get it in the hands of the users to scaling. And anyone specifically evolved in sort of like have evolved an existing solution in the market or been involved with a IoT device hardware here? This one. Is that it? Everyone else is sitting in the cloud somewhere. And that's because this is where most of your the middleware communication stuff is, and our experience sort of from this first page, which was like product design, you're somewhere here with the technology as such, and then you are designing the entire IoT stack experience, and data is pretty much like the biggest part of it after the product sort of design is taken to manufacturing. So this diagram, it's not from me, it's from a guy called Daniel who does this IoT certification course, and there's a lot of nice blogs about IoT, and I thought this was really worth sharing because this is our living experience of building a IoT product sort of for 1 year, bringing it into the market. And the more now clients come to us, they're usually looking for an IoT technical solution. It could be the hardware, it could be something they could add on to our module in order to make the user experience and the use case for their clients. And the more we start working, it actually ends up, this product and the solution comes from here, whereas the business requirements come from here, but the most complex decision actually ends up just being here, business support. And so with big companies, we just, there's crazy money in here. There's no money literally here and here, but companies are like ready to pay if and when anything that really solves a pain point, and that's our sort of the thing we realize the most through our experience of building IoT systems. Now there is again, like IoT just touches everything, right? I mean, it's such a big almost buzzword these days. But it is going to disrupt almost all these sort of different verticals. We are in the asset tracking space, because the Xupo system and connecting stacks and stuff is that's been purpose built. However, we have seen clients being able to take the same module or take many different we solve half of layers of those stacks and adapt it straight away into newer other applications. Which is why we have an approach to IoT and design that again, right from hardware to software and architecture, that has this SDK-based approach, which makes us quite different from many of our American competition, because they all do what's like a one-trick pony and very rigid systems. We have a more open approach, reusable hardware design. Almost think of it like Lego blocks. You can add a temperature sensor, other stuff to our modules very, very easily. When we did Kickstarter, we said you can apply to music, games, wireless mouse. People who are using this SDK ended up applying it a lot to medical, to two medical use cases, one in insurance. So we just didn't imagine that's where we could end up, also providing solutions. So yeah, that's basically the Connectin SDK. If you think of any application where this IoT device, or especially our cloud services, that's a whole lot of test analytics solutions might be of use. Give us a buzz. I'll put the contact details here later. So we are just at Queen Street, Glasgow. I write a lot on Bluetooth.com and a few other sites. So that's my personal website, rajsark.website. Our community is trackables.xyz, and myxupo.com is where you get this.
Thank you so much. Not yet. At the end, I can see a very obvious question here. There's a medical device location application. That data is being pinged up to the cloud somewhere. GDPR alarm bells, personal security alarm bells, blockchain comes to the rescue. Where's Chris? Boom. Complementary, you see? Synergy right there. You guys have potentially a lot to talk about. Let's just do two very quick questions, and then we'll transition to our third speaker. David, where are you? Oh, there you are.